If you or your family is touched by autism, learn more about Freddy's Foundation at #PopTheTap at freddythepizzaman.com. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com, or email freddythepizzaman@gmail.com.
This is Inside the Pizza Oven, the podcast that explores the best, most innovative, and relevant pizzerias and restaurateurs in America. Now here's your host, Freddy the Pizza Man, Freddie Bello.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into Inside the Pizza Oven. I am Freddie the Pizza Man. Welcome back after 2 weeks. A little busy, but good to be back. So, got a great guest today, Nick Carparelli, and we're going to get into his resume in a few minutes. He's got a great resume, and great friends of Matt Patricia, Bill Belichick, and Paul Pasqualoni, and a lover of pizza. That's how we connected through Instagram. You can find this guy on Instagram as well, Facebook, and Twitter, and we'll get into all that later in the podcast when he joins us. First of all, I do want to, just a couple things I want to knock out. You can find the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, and I do tweet it out, and Facebook and Instagram. Just search Freddy the Pizza Man. That's FREDI, the Pizza Man, and subscribe and rate, please. Good or bad is fine with me. So, episode 9. You know what? Before I even get into that, I do want to give a special thank you to DTE. To giving my foundation a $10,000 grant. What a big boost that is. In 3 calendar years, the foundation has raised close to $50,000. And if you know anything about the foundation, if you follow my story, my foundation raises money and equips sensory rooms in the state of Michigan. We have currently done 12 schools, working on the 13th currently in the next few days, actually, in Grosse Pointe Woods. We just got done with one in Fruit Point, Michigan. If you're wondering where it is, that's near Grand Haven. So everyone knows Grand Haven. So just a privilege working with all these schools and the teachers and the principals, and they welcome me in and the foundation, and it's very rewarding. Many of you know I'm touched. My family is touched by autism, and this is near and dear to my heart and soul, and we'll definitely never stop and keep going, and it only survives because you help. You help by donating. These grants help. You help by joining the golf outing, other events that I do throughout the year. So just give me a follow, Freddy the Pizza Man, all social media, definitely the website, freddythepizzaman.com. And I just cannot say thank you enough. So let's get into before Nick joins us in a few minutes. Nick's got a great resume, and just great getting to know him a little bit just through social media. And he's a pizza lover, and we'll definitely be talking about his favorite pizza. I know I brought up the wrong name. He quickly corrected me. No. This is my favorite, and we'll definitely let him tell you who his favorite is there in Connecticut. He currently resides in Maryland. He joined Under Armour in 2014. As a senior director of college sports, leading the brands, collegiate brands, in their marketing efforts, such as Notre Dame, Auburn, St. John's, Navy, and South Carolina, and works closely with the athletes and the teams. That's pretty cool. He was part of Super Bowl 30. I want to say Super Bowl 34 with the New England Patriots before he joined the Big East. He helped recruit Donovan McNabb, Justin Tuck there, and Notre Dame. Justin Tuck was one of my favorite players. I really wanted the Lions to get him. It didn't work out, but he had a great career there with the New York Giants. Got a couple Super Bowl rings. So he's worked with Notre Dame. He's worked with the New England Patriots, Syracuse. He was part of the '93 Fiesta Bowl. If you remember that game very well, that was a great game. Currently resides in Maryland, and again, we're going to just talk to him about his favorite pizza and get into a little bit of his stories with Matt Patricia. I know he told me he's got a story that Matt Patricia got the job in New England through his help. So I'm interested in learning more about that, and pizza obviously. So on the other side, Nick will be joining us. All right, welcome back into Inside the Pizza Oven. I am Freddie the Pizza Man. All right, let's get to our next guest. We both have a passion for pizza. We've been following each other on Instagram for a little while now. He has quite the resume, and we're going to let him get into it, but I'm going to give you a few bullet points off the resume. He's part of the New England Patriots, Super Bowl 34. He's got a Super Bowl ring. I do not. He was part of the 93 Syracuse team that played Colorado and beat Colorado in the Fiesta Bowl. I watched it on TV, but I was not there. Great game, by the way. He is friends with Matt Patricia and Paul Pasqualoni. I am not, but I did make Matt Patricia some gnocchi when the Lions ordered some pizza for the Buffalo Bills game, so that's my claim to fame there. He was part of Under Armour that has set up many big-name colleges with apparel, with Under Armour apparel, and Notre Dame was one of them. And I have been to Notre Dame Stadium. I only walked across the field, and I'm a big Rudy fan. So my only claim to fame, he's got me beat. He might not have this. I made the cover of a national pizza magazine May of 2019. That's a shameless plug there, pmq.com. So let's go to Maryland and welcome in Nick Carparelli. What's up, Nick?
Hey, Freddie. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
The whole podcast could have been your resume. You got quite the resume there.
Well, I've been very, very lucky to be at some great places, working with some great people. But sports is a passion of mine. It's my hobby. It's my profession. But pizza is equally a passion. So the opportunity to talk pizza and sports with you, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next 20, 30 minutes.
Absolutely. And the podcast says Inside the Pizza Oven, so we will be talking a lot of pizza. And you did correct me very quickly the other day, and I'm not going to bring up the name, your favorite pizzeria. I brought up a different name, and you quickly corrected me on that. We'll talk about that later in the podcast. But, like I said, we've been following each other on Instagram for a little while now. And by the way, on Instagram, you just go by, is you have a handle, or is it Nick Carparelli?
Yeah, it's just at Nick Carparelli. Yeah, nothing fancy. That's my name. I'm proud of it. Good Italian name, so that's what it is, at Nick Carparelli.
All right. Now, obviously, we're going to talk pizza, but, come to talking a little bit, it's a small world. Detroit Lions are my football team, and just through talking to you, you're friends with Matt Patricia and Paul Pasqualoni, who now is the head coach for the Detroit Lions, and Paul Pasqualoni is the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Before we even get to the New England Patriots and pizza, how did you meet those two, and go back to your college days, Syracuse and Notre Dame?
Yeah, so I'm really close with both of those guys. Coach P is a mentor and like another, a second father figure to me. He and my dad used to teach elementary phys ed together.
Wow.
In Cheshire, Connecticut. So I've known him since I was 5 years old. And when I graduated from college, small school in Massachusetts, WPI, I got my engineering degree. And I wanted to go back to college, and he just finished his first year at Syracuse in 1991. And he called me up and said, "Hey, how'd you like to come up and work for me, work in recruiting, get your MBA paid for?" So I was in my car the next day driving to Syracuse. So he really got me my start in my sports career. And like I said, he's just a solid guy. I love the guy. So he's been a big influence on my life. And ironically, Matt Patricia was also a graduate assistant for Coach Pasqualoni at Syracuse. And now the mentor is working for the mentee in Detroit. So, Matt was we did not overlap at Syracuse, but, I have such ties to that school. We were friends when Matt worked there. And then I played a small role in helping him get the Patriots job, shortly after I worked there. So Matt and I have been really good friends. He used to come to the Big East tournaments, every year in the off season when I worked at the Big East, and I'd sit him courtside. And I will tell you, I can, if you want to talk about pizza eating prowess, Matt Patricia is strong. There was many late night after the Big East tournament, pizza slices being eaten, stromboli, you name it, anything with sauce and cheese and dough. He was pounding it down in New York City, so that was a lot of fun.
Well, I remember when he got the job here in Detroit, and it was rumored for a while. I don't know if you know Bob Quinn, and obviously Bob Quinn was hired from.
I do. We worked together. Yeah, we worked together in New England as well.
Okay, so he was there for a while for New England, and he came here. He got the job. He got his first gig as general manager for the Detroit Lions, and 2 years later, he hired Matt Patricia. And I remember the presser. I didn't even know Matt Patricia was Italian, so I got all excited when I heard he was Italian. I heard he loved his gnocchi, and he loved his pizza. So I'm like, man, I'm a mile away from this guy, so one day he's got to eat my pizza and my gnocchi.
Yeah, for sure. He would. I'm not surprised to hear that you ate your gnocchi. I don't know. Have you had your pizza yet?
I don't even know. They ordered pizza for the media once in a while. I don't deal with him directly, obviously, but they ordered pizza for the Buffalo Bills game when they were traveling out there, and who knows, he might have grabbed a slice out of the box. But I did send the public relations guy. I sent him an extra plate of gnocchi. I said, make sure this gets to Matt Patricia because I know he loves his gnocchi. But he's a busy guy. He probably wouldn't even think twice. He's worried about the Kansas City Chiefs right now this week. So.
Yeah,
and he's got the team playing.
Sure. Well, it was a great win against the Eagles last weekend. I mean, anytime you can beat a team like that on the road, and the fact that they're undefeated after 3 games, I think that's a better start than people expected.
Now, let me ask you a football question. I didn't know you knew Bob Quinn. When he got hired here, obviously you were part. You saw him around New England a little bit. Do you think he was ready for a job right away to get a general manager job with any team? But he got it with the Detroit Lions, obviously.
Oh, I do for sure. I think one of the great things about the Patriots organization is Bill really develops the people who work for him. I mean, you see that within his own staff, the number of guys that have simply moved up the ranks and been promoted, before they move on to get their own job. And sometimes guys aren't public names in that organization, but that doesn't mean they haven't been preparing and that they're not ready for the next job. And I think you were probably surprised just maybe because you hadn't heard about Bob that much. But I can tell you, having worked with him and stayed friendly with him over the years, I mean, he was very ready for the job, and I was really happy when he got the opportunity. And I think that entire organization, between all the guys we've been talking about and others, they're going to get it done there. I think they're going to make Detroit proud.
Yeah, they came to a tough situation. I mean, you follow sports. Lions have never been in the Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl. So they came to a tough spot. They got a lot of work ahead of them, and things are. They beat Kansas City. That's gonna bode well for them. Both coach and general manager. Now Matt Patricia, he came in last year. It was a tough year for him. If you've been following him this year, I don't know if you saw the after the game versus Philadelphia. He was just the speech to the players. It was just energetic. He seemed like a totally different guy from last year. The first year, maybe it was just too much for him, or it was just they just didn't have enough talent. But man, what a difference from Matt Patricia, year one into year two. Have you noticed that, just being a friend of his?
Well, I didn't see the post game speech, but it doesn't surprise me. I know Matt well, and I know a lot of football coaches. Being a head coach, at the major college level or in the NFL is a tough job. You got a lot on your plate, and especially your first time with a new organization, and then add to that first time ever being a head coach at any level. So there's no doubt in my mind that last year Matt was just trying to figure out which way was up. And I think anything you do in life, year two is significantly better, and you're significantly more comfortable than year one, just because you've been through it all once. There's things that you can do instinctively, and you don't have to think about every move you make, which probably is allowing him to focus more on winning games this year, and it's causing him to be a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, it was a culture change for the team and the players. Just from listening to the talk radio, Jim Caldwell was very calm and very, very lenient, and Patricia come in. He was very tough and on the players, and it took a little time. I think maybe he went home in the off season, and maybe he changed a few things. Maybe the players changed a few things, but it's been a big difference in year two. I'll tell you, it's even showing up on the field, big time.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Now, I know you said you grew up a Giants fan, and obviously you got a Super Bowl ring with the with the New England Patriots, Super Bowl 34. Now, if memory serves me correct, is that the one from 2001, 34?
Yes, that was the first one. That's the one that got it all started.
Yeah.
That was out of nowhere. The Patriots organization, I think, teenagers and younger today don't, they think of the Patriots as being this dynasty, but you know as well as I, back in 2000, the Patriots' entire history was miserable. They were a joke in a lot of ways. And 2001 came out of nowhere. Coach Belichick was 5-11 the year before, which was his first year in New England. And then out of nowhere, we were 11-5, and Drew Bledsoe got hurt, and Tom Brady came in. Nobody knew who he was. We were 14-point underdogs against the Rams, the greatest show on turf, and Kurt Warner. When we played him in the Super Bowl down in New Orleans, it was the 9/11 year. So there was a lot going on. It was a crazy year, but when we won it, it was just amazing. I mean, it's an experience I'll never forget for sure.
I remember watching the game with my dear friend and his son, who was 6 years old at the time, and to see his son growing up now, which obviously he don't remember watching the game. But you bring up New England. I remember the '85 Super Bowl. Tony Eason, Chicago whitewashed them. I remember Jim Plunkett was the number one pick for the 1970 for the New England Patriots. Got number one overall pick, just like Matthew Stafford here. And New England was terrible in the 70s. And Plunkett went on elsewhere to win 2 Super Bowls with the Oakland Raiders. And, there was a time here I thought Matthew Stafford, overall number one pick, a terrible franchise. It might happen. He might go elsewhere and win Super Bowls. And we hope that doesn't happen. But, now that Patricia's coming here and things may be turning around, we got our fingers crossed that that doesn't happen. Another Plunkett goes elsewhere and wins Super Bowls. But you brought up you were a Giants fan. I bring up how was it the 2 Super Bowls Giants beat New England, especially when New England was 18-0, ready to go 19-0.
Yeah, it's working in sports is different than being a sports fan. I'm still a sports fan.
Yeah.
I grew up a New York Giants fan, grew up a Yankees fan. I'm still extremely passionate about the Yankees. And I root for the Giants as a secondary team. When you work in sports, you have a different type of rooting interest, a different level of affinity. I root for my friends. I work with people. I'm friends with people. And,
yeah.
Obviously, as long as Coach Belichick is the coach, and I have a number of friends that are still on that staff 17 years later. I mean, I root for the Patriots because I work there and because they're my friends. And now, I never thought in a million years I would ever root for the Detroit Lions. But I'm watching that game yesterday, me and my sons, who know Matt and know Coach P very well. And we're jumping up and down, we're cheering, we're yelling at the TV at the last couple minutes when they gave the ball back, and defense did a great job of stopping them twice, in the last few minutes. So it's you end up rooting for your friends more than you do teams. But like I said, my childhood teams, the Yankees, the Giants, I'm always a fan of Bears to some extent. Yankees is off the charts, so that might not please a lot of your listeners. I'm sure there's a lot of Yankee haters out there, but be exciting to see them in the postseason this year.
Yeah, we beat them in 2006. To get to the World Series, we beat them. I think a couple years later. So baseball's so bad here right now. I don't even know if they know there's a baseball team in town. That's how bad it is. It is right now. So
yeah, well. When I took the Under Armour job, I moved to Maryland, so I'm at my house right now near Annapolis, and a lot of Orioles. Well, I should say there's a lot of Orioles fans.
Oh boy,
because there's nobody at the stadium. But my point is, we know bad baseball in this area. That's for sure.
So yeah, when you bring up the New York Giants, I grew up a big Bill Parcells fan, and there was a rumor he was going to come here in the mid '90s before he got the Patriots job, and the owner here didn't want to give him full control. And you look back and what were you thinking? But Bill Parcells, man, he was just an incredible coach, wasn't he?
Yeah, for sure. He's one of those guys. Like I've actually, I shouldn't say I haven't met him, but I don't know him at all. But because of my relationship with Coach Belichick and then Coach Pasqualoni, after he left Syracuse, he went to work for him in Dallas. So that they're close. It feels like I should know him, but I don't. But I certainly love him as a coach. And, when I was a big Giants fan, that's, back in the late 80s when they won 2 Super Bowls. And, what was fun for me when I got the Patriots job is obviously working for Coach Belichick, who was the defensive coordinator for the Giants at that time. But also on our staff was Pepper Johnson, who was, part of probably the greatest linebacking core of all time, in the late 80s. It was Lawrence Taylor, Pepper Johnson, Carl Banks, and Harry Carson.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to find four guys that are the four linebackers of that caliber on the team ever again, I don't think.
No, they won't stay long because you have to pay them. So definitely won't stay long. Not in today's NFL, for sure. Now, I want to get to pizza a little bit, but I had a question for you and I lost train of thought. So let's
we can come back to it.
Yeah, I know I lost train of thought, but you know what? No, I just remember when you do talk to Matt Patricia, you tell him if he ever wins a Super Bowl here, they will build a statue of him in his beard and a pencil in his ear down and they'll put it on Woodward right there in front of Ford Field. I'll guarantee you that. He wins the Super Bowl.
All right, maybe they could put a piece of pizza in his hand, and that would be perfect.
Absolutely. So your love of pizza. That's why we started talking. You're from the Connecticut area. We all know the Connecticut New Haven style. You have your three big boys there: Modern, Frank Pepe's, and Sally's. And I was telling you about a buddy of mine that's up, I think, a little bit up in Connecticut near Providence. E&D Pizza Company. He's doing pretty good things out there. I think it's a little bit of a distance between the other pizzerias. But it's
about 45 minutes from New Haven. I've spent a lot of time in Avon. I used to play a lot of golf in Avon, beautiful town. But I've never tried his pizza. I think that's a little bit newer. He's probably in a little bit newer of a place from when I lived there.
Yes. Now, when I brought up Frank Pepe's to you, you corrected me right away. Your favorite pizzeria.
Yeah, I'll say this. When you think of New Haven pizza, people who know New Haven pizza, it's the pizza capital of the world in my mind. It's Sally's, it's Pepe's, it's Modern. They're all great. But there's such a rivalry, especially between Sally's and Pepe's. There are loyalists of each, and they will argue to the death as to which one's better. And so that was my reaction. I'm a Sally's guy. I grew up a Sally's guy. My dad went to college in New Haven, and where I grew up was a couple towns up the road. So I've been going to Sally's since I was 3 years old, and I don't think they've renovated the place since. But the pizza is just as good as ever, and they just sold it a couple years ago.
Wow!
I was there over the summer. Yeah, they said it was a big deal. I was there over the summer, but the sons are still working there. I think that was part of the transition, so that they can really get down the whole process. And as you know, I mean, I'm a pizza eater, not a pizza maker like you are. So I'm an amateur pizza maker, and I've kind of taken it up as a hobby, and I love experimenting with it. And we could talk about that, but
you did tell me something interesting in the email, which caught my eye, and you do know pizza because you said you make pizza at home, but you only got a 550 degree oven. Pizza does need high heat. You brought up it needs 700-800 degrees. You're right. Good pizza needs high heat. You wanna crisp it up, and the high heat, and it cooks the ingredients. It just soaks it into the sauce and the cheese. So you knew that, and that's not too many people understand.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's the whole thing behind brick ovens is those can get a lot hotter than traditional ovens. I mean, I know you don't have a brick oven. How hot does your oven get?
My oven gets to about 650 to 700 degrees. Now, during my lunch rush, it goes down a little bit. But then after my lunch rush, after it sits about an hour, you put a pizza in there, and it's done in 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So you got to keep an eye on it.
So that gets the job done, obviously. I mean, for a home oven, for me, at 550 is only so much I can do. Now, brick oven can get, 800, 900 degrees, and you know this, but most people think it's simply the heat and simply, the pizza sitting on the bricks, but it's also the roof. Those brick ovens are built in a dome shape, so it causes the heat to convect from the top and come down. So that's part of the whole brick oven thing. But my next home, I'm gonna build a brick oven in my backyard, and I'm gonna have a party back there. I'll tell you that.
Are you you're gonna write the name Sally's on top of the oven? I'm assuming, right?
I'll probably maybe I'll put maybe it'll be Carparelli's. We'll see.
Now, do the owners of Sally's and Frank Pepe's, do they know each other? Do they rival? I mean, is it friendly?
I don't know if it's friendly anymore. I mean, back in the day, they were related. Pepe's came first.
Yeah.
Modern came second, but Modern was unrelated to Pepe's. And then Sally's opened up. Sally was Frank Pepe's nephew, so he kind of took elements of Pepe's recipe and kind of went AWOL and started his own place right up the street. And so I think there was a little hard feelings at first, but they ended up working together over time to the point where they would each close one day a week, and they somehow made an agreement that one of them would close on Mondays and one of them would close on Tuesdays. But
that's funny.
I don't know. Italians can be very stubborn, so I don't know if the family feud lasted a long time. But I heard that they got along after a while, especially when both places got to the point where they both had more business than they can handle. There was no reason to be better at that point.
So Modern is clearly number 3.
I think so.
Okay. How far are they
really
from
good.
each other?
It's really good. I think the dough and the crust separates Sally's and Pepe's. I think Sally's is number 1 in every category. Crust, sauce, cheese to sauce ratio, other toppings, you name it. Pepe's is interesting. They put sliced mozzarella on there, not fresh mozzarella, but instead of shredded, it's sliced.
Yeah.
So that gives it a little bit of a different feel to it. Sally's is shredded, but Modern's really good. But I just think it's third.
Mozzarella. Just a secret to cheese. I mean, the best way to put cheese on a pizza is to cut it right there and then, because once you cut it, it dries out. So obviously they're making pizza so fast over there. They probably don't. I know they don't have that issue. Now,
well, they do it. I'm not a, everybody has their preference in pizza. I mean, Sally's does a great job. They don't put a lot of cheese on the pizza. It's just enough. I think the sauce to cheese ratio for me is key. You see a lot of these chain restaurants that tout, it's double cheese and they stuff the crust with cheese.
No,
I mean, it's sacrilegious. Like, I don't know what that's all about, but I think, when you talk about making pizza, and again, I'm just an amateur, but what I do know is it's the quality of the ingredients, it's the oven and the heat and how long you keep it in, but it's also the ratio of ingredients and how much water you mix with the flour to make the dough. I've been experimenting with that a little bit, whether it's 70%, 60%. So it's fun for me to experiment. I haven't gotten it down yet. Maybe offline you can give me some pointers.
Oh, when you come in town, you can make a pizza here. But next time you make dough, let it cold ferment for 20 or for 48 hours. You'll see a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah, roll it up, ball it up, and then right away stick it in the fridge, cover it up in Saran wrap in a Tupperware, and just let it cold ferment for 48 hours before you touch it. The smell alone, you'll want to rub it on your body because that'll be your new cologne.
do you knock it down once, after 24 hours, or you just leave it for 48 hours?
No, ball it up and stick it in a Tupperware container. And I tell you Tupperware because that's probably what you got at home. And then close it up and then
actually, believe it or not, I bought a dough tray, rectangular white dough trays with the lid. I went online, I bought that. I got the pizza peel. I got my stones to put in the oven to try to do the best I can with the low heat. I'm doing my best, Freddie, but I'm no professional pizzaiolo just yet. But
it's
maybe
okay.
Someday.
It's okay. Just roll it up in a dough ball and stick it in the fridge for 48 hours, even 24 hours. But I say 48 hours, and you'll see you'll see the difference, and you'll smell it, and it'll be incredible. Not to say now, New Haven, that's a place I'm definitely I want to go there one day. Believe it or not, I've never been to New York, and and not to say anything bad about New Yorkers and pizzeria New York guys that make pizza in New York, but don't you on social media you notice that it seems like guys in New York think they're the only ones that can make pizza? You notice that?
Well, that's true. That's definitely true. There is an arrogance about it, for sure. I go, I travel quite a bit for the various jobs I've had, and I make a point to try, some of the better pizza places. I do a little research online every city I go, and you're right. There are definitely some really good pizza places all over the country. I would say that the edge New York has is consistently good. There's an endless number of really good pizza places in New York. They're all good.
Oh yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to some towns and there might be 10 pizza places and 3 of them are really good and the others are not.
Yeah,
so I think it's just the consistency.
I've talked to a few of the good guys in New York on the podcast, and some really good down to earth guys. Before we get into rapid fire, now see you know your pizza really well, so. But I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. You're welcome. I want to talk to you a little bit about Under Armour. Now, you've helped set up some big colleges, some big name colleges from the email I looked at. Let the listeners know a little bit about what you did for Under Armour.
Yeah, so I was working at the Big East Conference. I had been working in college athletics for a long time. Had a lot of great friendships and contacts in college athletics. And Under Armour recruited me 5 years ago because of those relationships to run their college sports marketing division. At the time they outfitted 25 Division I athletic departments. There's 350 total. Nike has most of them. And they wanted to upgrade that for a number of reasons. And it was, some of the big boys as well as some of the smaller mid-major, Division I schools. So, in my 5 years there, we went from 25 to 75, and it was schools across the board, big boys like Wisconsin and Cal Berkeley and UCLA, which was UCLA is the biggest deal in the history of collegiate apparel, and that was a deal that I was the point person on, all the way down to, smaller, mid-major schools, Manhattan College and Northeastern, University of Hartford, Stephen F. Austin, just various, smaller schools who, those have, local value. You actually make a little bit of money on those deals because you're really just, promoting them a little bit of product and they buy the rest. Every once in a while they make the NCAA tournament and make a little bit of a run and give you some marketing value. So we went from one team out of the 68 teams in the NCAA tournament the year I started, from 1 to 6 to 10 to 12 to 17 last year. Which, if you assess the exposure value of the tournament and there's 17 teams and every game, they play another game. It was really astronomical, our growth. So I was really proud of that.
UCLA was a bigger deal than Notre Dame?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, we when we did the Notre Dame deal in 2014, we kind of reset the market. Nike kind of had it cornered. They were underpaying for a lot of great college sports brands. So as a result of the Notre Dame deal, Nike was forced to pay Michigan and Ohio and Texas a much bigger number than they ever thought they would have to pay a school. And then so that kind of it elevated from Notre Dame, and then we did the UCLA deal and we stole from Adidas, and that was the biggest deal. And it's a little bit of a function of supply and demand. When you get out to the West Coast, there's just not as many big time Division I institutions. So if you want to have a presence in Southern California, it's either UCLA or USC.
Yeah.
And Nike's never going to give up USC, so it was kind of a must-have for us.
I got you. Now, I don't watch teams because of the apparel, but I will tell you, I'm a big Notre Dame fan. I'm a Michigan fan too, but Harbaugh's, that's another subject. But I'm a big Notre Dame fan. But if I were to go buy tennis shoes, I tell you this, not just because you're on the podcast, I would choose Under Armour. It is one of my favorite ones out there. Adidas would probably be second. Nike's never done anything for me personally. Like, it's never really like, wow, I got to have that Nike. Under Armour, I tell you, there's something about Under Armour I like, and I love that Notre Dame's. I know Notre Dame still is part of Under Armour, correct?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I thought they were.
I think we're in year four of a 10-year. I'm really happy with what we do for them, and obviously it's a tremendous privilege to be able to outfit them.
Now, I would assume in those kind of deals, without getting any specifics, the head coach gets taken care of as well. All the head coaches in Notre Dame, or just the football coach, basketball coach?
Well, yes and no. But you go way back. You go back to the original sneaker deals. It was no Big East coaches. It was John Thompson and Rolly Massimino and Jim Boeheim that was probably there. I think it was Sonny Vaccaro back in the day approached him and said, "Hey, we'll give you personally cash if you make your players wear these sneakers." And the economics were so different back then. Some of those coaches were getting paid more from Nike than they were getting from their school. But then over time, the school realized, okay, there's money for us to be made here. And also there was the ability to leverage the football and basketball teams that had value to outfit the rest of the athletic department. So that kind of moved away from the coaches getting a check directly from, the apparel companies. So we don't necessarily pay any coaches directly, but they all get family and whatnot. But there's no real payment to the coaches directly.
All right, let's get to a little bit of rapid fire. Just to ask you a couple questions,
okay.
and you notice I haven't asked you about Tom Brady yet, but we'll get there. And
okay.
If New England's going to win another Super Bowl, and before this,
yes, the answer is yes.
Yes. Well, okay. I'm with you. I agree. I'm a New England. I like New England. Now, just
I say that as a fan and a friend of people that are there, but that being said, it's kind of hard to bet against them at this point with how good they've played so far this year, and the fact that they won it last year.
We're in 2019. In 5 years, 2024, will Bill Belichick and Tom Brady still be in New England?
Let's see, 5 years from now. I know Tom said he wants to play till he's 45. He's 42. I think 45 is even a stretch. So 5 years from now, I'm pretty certain Tom will be retired. Everybody wants to speculate whether Bill will coach after Tom retires or not. I don't think he will predicate his decision on Tom's retirement. That's just my personal opinion. I will say that Coach has a lot of he's a little bit more worldly than people realize. He has other interests. So I don't see him coaching till he's old and gray. I can see him retiring and fishing, and I could see him coaching high school lacrosse somewhere. Just for fun.
Yeah, he likes golf too, doesn't he?
He does play golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he comes down my way. He grew up in Annapolis, Maryland. Here, his dad was in the Navy for years. That's where he learned the game. And his mom's still alive, and she lives down here, so he gets down here every once in a while.
Now, I'm sure you've heard this question a million times, and they still talk it today. Who makes who? Tom Brady make Belichick, or Belichick make Tom Brady? I have my answer. I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah, I think they would both be successful wherever they are.
Yeah.
I think it took Coach Belichick to recognize Tom's ability, because nobody seemed to along the way. Whether it was in high school he had to fight his way on the team, and in college he was in the Drew Henson shadows, and it took Coach Belichick to realize, okay, this guy's the guy. To leave him in to replace Drew Bledsoe, who really has Hall of Fame numbers. When you look at it in his career, and he had just signed a huge contract with New England, so you got to give the coach a lot of credit for that.
I remember
Tom was injured. Tom was injured one season, and they won 11 games that year. I think Bill would win regardless of Tom, but I can't take anything away from what Tom did. He's maybe the greatest of all time.
No, I would say he's the greatest of all time. There's to me, there's no questions about it. And you bring up the Drew Henson days. I remember those days. I mean, obviously, I was watching Michigan a ton then, and it was always Tom Brady would come in and rescue them. It was almost like Joe Montana in the 70s with Notre Dame. You remember? He would always come in and rescue the team, and Tom Brady did the same thing here. And I remember Bill Walsh. I remember reading articles. Bill Walsh said, I think he was a general manager at the time for the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to take this guy. He's a local boy. We're going to take him. And they end up taking that Gino Carapazzi.
Giovanni Carmazzi.
Giovanni
He's
Carmazzi.
Italian, so I give him a little break because he's Italian, but he was a disaster.
They end up taking him, and I don't know if you remember, and they've showed this on TV a million times, the first game he played was in the Hall of Fame game versus New England, and a guy in the third quarter comes into the game, maybe he started the game, who knows, a guy named Tom Brady, and he outperformed him in that game. It was only the Hall of Fame game. It was a preseason game, but Tom Brady stole the show that day, and Giovanni Carmazzi had a terrible day, and you never heard from him again, and Bill Walsh was probably watching and thinking, I wanted this guy, why didn't I take him? But the rest is history. My answer, Nick, is I'm with you. They both would be successful. I mean, obviously Belichick's been successful. They would both be successful elsewhere. I think Cleveland messed up letting them go too early, but I understand they Well, they moved to Baltimore. Why wouldn't you just bring them to Baltimore? But whatever. I think they would both be successful, no doubt about it. I mean, Tom Brady is the greatest ever. I mean, forget about the physical skills. The guy mentally is so strong. But I think Belichick, to me, has the edge. Not just because they won 1 year, they won 11 games. I just think Bill Belichick is so incredible. There's a mystery to him that he can coach anything. I think he can coach a team to win a World Series. I think he can coach an NBA championship. I just think he can do it. I do it all, and so can Tom Brady. But I would give a little bit of edge to Bill Belichick, but it doesn't make me right, But I just would give I just think Belichick's that incredible.
Yeah, he certainly is. I can't argue with you there.
Yeah. All right, let's end it with a little rapid fire. Just gonna ask you a few questions and just give me an honest answer. The first one I had on my list, I already answered it for you. Sally's or Frank Pepe's. That's pretty obvious. Sally's.
Yep, that was the easiest one of the day.
ESPN or Food Network?
ESPN, simply because that's what I have on the most. But if I get bored with it, I do switch to the Food Network. That's my next station.
Yeah, Food Network and Golf Channel I watch the most, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you know what? I Golf Channel as well from. Yep.
Yeah. Godfather 1 or 2?
Oof. Equal. Just don't even bring it up. Godfather 3, please.
Everybody picks 1. I get it, but sometimes
they're equal. I mean, it might be the greatest sequel of all time. I mean, sequels always take a step back, but to this day, like if I'm flipping through the channels on a Saturday and there's no good sporting event on, and I come, if I'm on come to AMC or some station and Godfather's on, I'm done. I just stop and I watch the rest of it.
Price is Right or Jeopardy? Which one are you watching?
Jeopardy.
Why I should have said Price is Right with Bob Barker. Does that change your answer?
Is that after Happy Gilmore beat him up, or is that before?
No, before.
It was kind of Bob Barker. He liked to kiss every contestant, if I remember right. Was that Richard Dawson on Family Feud?
No, that was Richard Dawson. No, Bob Barker kissed a few too. Believe me. Yeah, they both.
Yeah, they both did. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna
get away with that nowadays.
I'm gonna mark you down for Jeopardy. That was your first answer.
All right.
Tom Brady or Joe Montana?
Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Tom Brady.
I'm
biased, but
no. I mean, you're right. But before he won the Seattle Super Bowl a few years back, he's obviously won 2 since. Or no, was it Seattle Atlanta he beat? Or was it Atlanta Seattle? Seattle then Atlanta he beat.
Seattle then Atlanta, and then
this past one.
Seattle was the fourth. Atlanta was the fifth.
And this past one he won. He beat. The
Rams.
The Rams, yeah. I think when he came back and beat Atlanta, I think he answered all the questions right there and then. I mean, that game.
I tell you what, yeah, that was. I tell you what, of all the things I've done, I've been of the 9 Super Bowls that the Patriots have been in since Bill's been coaching. I've been to 7 of them, and the Atlanta one. My kids were finally old enough. I mean, it's not cheap to go to Super Bowls, even though they still take a little bit of care of me. And my dad had never been to one, so I said, what, I'm taking this for granted. I said, what? So I took my dad, I took my 2 boys, the 4 of us. We had great seats. We watched that game. Greatest comeback ever. I got great video of us, jumping up and down and high fiving. I just had the wherewithal to video the last play, and then I flipped it on to my boys and my dad, and that's probably one of the greatest memories I have.
I left the Super Bowl party at halftime, drove home, got back into the house, and Belichick kicked a field goal, and everybody was like, why are they kicking the field goal? Man, he knew what he was doing then. I think you remember what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's smart. He's smarter than everybody else.
Absolutely. We talked about Bill Belichick. I'm not sure how much of a hockey guy, but Scotty Bowman or Bill Belichick?
Well, I'm not a hockey guy, so obviously I'm going to say Bill Belichick.
You know Scotty Bowman, correct?
Oh, I know who he is. I know who he is.
He's got like 11 cups. I mean, the guy's amazing. I mean, his last cup was here with the Wings in 2008. So, well, he's got some cups, but he was in Chicago, but he wasn't the coach. Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus?
Jack Nicklaus, and I'll tell you why. Back in the day when Jack played, those guys played in, I don't want to say every event, but they were tour players. They went on tour, and they played the majority of the events. That was their job. That was their profession, and they took great pride in that. Tiger, as great as he is, his goal was to win majors. So he played very few other events. He strategically chose them strictly as tune-ups for the majors, and that allowed him to do what he did. I have a lot of respect for Jack and Arnold and all those guys that were professional golfers in every sense of the word. So in my mind, that's why I choose Jack.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue. He's got more majors, and you're right. He had to feed his family back then. That's how they made a living. And but there is no denying Tiger Woods, 1999 through, 2006. Incredible run.
Incredible.
Yeah, for young kids, I never saw him. Incredible.
Yep, and he still moves the needle. I mean, when he's in contention now, it's great for the game. A lot of great young guys on tour right now, but don't have the impact he does.
No, that Masters was all the proof this year. Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky?
Oh, that's a tough one. Even though I'm not a hockey guy, I have great respect for Wayne Gretzky. I mean, he was, Michael Jordan was the greatest ever. People argue is LeBron better than Michael Jordan. I don't know if Wayne Gretzky has a LeBron comparison. I think he's so far ahead of everybody. I'm going to take Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, Gordie Howe, the guy from Gordie Howe from Detroit, but he just passed not too long ago. He was much older, played way before Wayne Gretzky, but Gordie Howe was a stud for sure.
Yep.
Last one. This might be a difficult one for you, but I have to ask you: Matt Patricia or Paul Pasqualoni?
Oh God, that's a good one. I love that question. They have such different places in my heart and in my life. Matt's closer to my age and a friend, and we've had a certain type of fun together. But Coach P's a father figure, and he's a great man. Like Coach P is, the record he had at Syracuse, which is a tough place to win, and he's going to go down as one of the most underappreciated great football coaches of all time. And the integrity with which he did it and his work ethic, he just has such a big place in my life that I'm picking Paul Pasqualoni on that one, even though I love Matt.
He did some great things at Syracuse with Syracuse football. I mean, I'm a big college football guy, and I remember a lot of. I remember a lot of those teams. Was he? Now, I didn't want to look back on Google because I hate looking back because I always want to depend on my own memory. But the '93 Fiesta Bowl was Paul Pasqualoni the head coach there in '93?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he was.
His first year was 91. His first year was 91. He coached 14 seasons, won over 100 games. Went to 2 Fiesta Bowls, an Orange Bowl, a Gator Bowl. It'd be another 50 years before Syracuse, plays in games like that. And then in the non-conference schedule they used to play, when I worked there, in our first 4 games we played, one year we played Texas, Ohio State back-to-back, beat Texas and lost to Ohio State. And another year they played Tennessee and Michigan back-to-back.
Yeah.
Lost to Tennessee on the last drive of the game, a phantom pass interference call by the SEC officials on 4th down that kept the drive alive. And Tennessee actually won the national championship that year. T. Martin was the quarterback.
Yes.
And the following week they went to Michigan and beat Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see Syracuse doing that anytime in the future.
Yeah.
He was a great coach, and he really. Northeast football, Division I football has a certain kind of pride to it, a certain kind of identity. It's Penn State, Syracuse, Pittsburgh. It's Rutgers, Boston College. Doesn't get a lot of respect, but when he was the head coach at Syracuse, that was the model program that all the other Northeast schools used to model themselves after. They used to try to be like Syracuse. Graduated all those kids, won a lot of games. It was a lot of fun to be a part of.
Yeah, I remember a lot of those days, man. I tell you, I remember when McNabb came here, kind of put him on the map here when he beat Michigan. Donovan McNabb, like, man, who's this kid, man? He just killed Michigan, and yeah, I remember a lot of those. And even if you go back to basketball, you think back to St. John's and Chris Mullen and Raleigh Massimino and Villanova and Georgetown and Boston College. I remember watching Doug Flutie and Glenn Foley and those guys. I remember all those, and it's kind of Rutgers kind of fell from the wayside, but you bring back good memories. I remember all those well. You lived them. You're there, much closer than me. It must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was for sure. Rutgers needs to get Greg Schiano back, and he'll get him back on track.
Yeah, you know what?
He's a good friend as well, and a great coach.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like your last answer. It's Paul Bescaloni's got to be the answer, and he's doing some good things here. The defense is getting a little bit better, and you got to be a Lions fan now for sure, Nick.
Oh, I am big time.
Right.
I know that they showed a lot of confidence in the defense. I'll tell you what, at the end of that game, and they lined up man to man, and they stopped them twice. I don't think they would have done that last year, so they're clearly getting better.
Wouldn't that be something if this year? I don't want to jump to this guy yet, but this year or next year, Detroit meets New England in the Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be incredible? Matt Patricia versus Bill Belichick.
That would be incredible. You can rest assured that I would be there.
It'd be the first time I wouldn't root for Tom Brady. That's for sure.
Can't blame you.
Well, listen, Nick, this is a lot of fun, man. I enjoy talking to you, and just keep in touch, and looking forward to talking to you more.
Yeah, Freddie, thanks so much. You're a good man. I appreciate you having me on. I can't wait to get out to Detroit and watch a Lions game and have some of Freddie's pizza.
Yeah, you're going to be making it when you come in, all right?
All right, I'll do it.
All right, thanks, my man. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
Well, that was a lot of fun. I've been wanting to get him on the podcast. We've been going back and forth. He's a busy guy, and we picked a day, and we finally got it on there. So thank you, Nick Carparelli there in Maryland, and thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, subscribe to the podcast, Inside the Pizza Oven, iTunes, YouTube, and I put it out on my social media, Freddie the Pizza Man, Fredi the Pizza Man. If you want to rate it bad, that's fine. 1 star, that's fine. Do it. Well, 5 star would be nice too, but whatever you want to do. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.